Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our wonderful celebration of Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day, celebration of the reunification of Jerusalem after the during the Six-Day War in 1967. I'm going to move over so you can see Jerusalem a little bit better. Let's see which way I move. There we go. You can see Jerusalem behind me on the map. My name is Rabbi Peter Weintraub. I'm honored to be the national chairman of the Friends of the IDF. It's my privilege to welcome you as we mark this wonderful milestone in Israel's history. Many of you remember the events of 1967. Many of you do not. The spring of 1967, the president, the leader of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser, closed the Straits of Tiran, preventing Israel's only access from its southern border. A few months later, the stranglehold was getting stronger and stronger. Israel had no option but to exercise its right to defend its borders. It had been used to fighting. The War of Liberation lasted more than 2 years. The campaign in Sinai in 1956. Israel was ready to do what it needed to do. And on June 5th, 1967, Israel struck against its enemies, Syria, Jordan, Egypt, Iraq, and in 6 miraculous days defeated all of them. On the 3rd day of the Six-Day War, which was June the 7th, 1967, the 26th day of Iyar, Jerusalem was captured. The city is in our hands. Hakotel biyadenu. We now have Jerusalem back. And Israel decided to commemorate that victory with a holiday celebrating the liberation, the reunification of Jerusalem. It's one of the 3 holidays that the Jewish calendar has had added to it from the time of Israel's creation. The first, Yom HaAtzmaut. Second, Yom HaZikaron, commemorating all of the soldiers who were lost and people who were lost, actually 4 days. Yom HaZikaron, Yom HaAtzmaut, Yom HaShoah, commemorating the Holocaust, and Yom Yerushalayim. I do not remember a Jerusalem that was not reunited. For my first trip to Jerusalem was in the summer of 1968. My wife Ellen, however, whose family epitomizes the story of Israel's creation and survival, most of her family emigrating to Israel illegally following the Shoah. In 1958, my wife Ellen took her first trip to Israel, met her grandparents for the first time. She was 8 years old. On a trip to Jerusalem, my curious wife, she was then and is now, decided to take a little walk just a little bit away from where the King David Hotel is, not cognizant that there was something called barbed wire in front of her. Her entire family started to shriek, "You're going the wrong way." She was heading towards no man's land, the land that divided Israel from the eternal capital of the Jewish people, the old city of Jerusalem. I entered Jerusalem in 1968, and right off the plane, I traveled and visited the wonderful Kotel, which many people called the wall where we cried, the Wailing Wall. For many years, Jews cried to be there, but we were calling it properly the Western Wall, the wall that is on the western part of the ancient fortification of the Second Temple in Jerusalem. So my first day, I was at that wall. And the last day I was at that wall, right before I was heading to the airport to take that famous 001 flight back to New York at 1 o'clock in the morning. I walked through the old city at night, practically alone. I got to the wall. I put my hands up on the wall, my head towards the wall, and I uttered a prayer, a silent prayer, echoing the words of the beautiful song, Me'al Piskat Haratzofim. From the vantage point of Mount of Scopus, I will look out unto your beauty. Alfei dorot chalamti alayich. Thousands of generations have dreamt of you. Lirot liskot be'or panayich. To see you, to be worthy of you, to bask in your light. Yerushalayim, Yerushalayim, ani lo azuz mipo. I will never leave this place. And we have not, and we will not. So let's celebrate together this wonderful milestone in our history, together as one FIDF community, as I now welcome tonight's MC, IDF veteran, journalist, TV host. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Michal Divon.
Thank you, Peter, for these very, very emotional words. It is a pleasure to be here with you, all of our FIDF supporters celebrating Yom Yerushalayim. Yom Yerushalayim is a day that I remember celebrating with my family every year. My father is a Jerusalemite, Yerushalmi, born in Jerusalem, as are my siblings, and he distinctly remembers everyone running to the bomb shelter as the Six-Day War broke out. My father and his friends decided to sneak out and watch the beginning of the war. Soldiers were fighting right in front of them, with armored vehicles going up in flames. As the heavy fire came down, my dad tells me he ran home as mortar shells exploded right next to him. And growing up, he never failed to remind us of how long there was no access to the Western Wall for Jews until the Old City was liberated.
אנחנו יושבים על הרכס שצופה אל העיר העתיקה. אנחנו נהיה הראשונים להיכנס אליה. לנוע אל השער. אנחנו הולכים ומעמיקים לתוך העיר העתיקה. הר הבית בידינו, כאן תלמיד, הר הבית בידינו. לראות תאיר כבעל, כל הכבוד, כל הכבוד.
That victory is why we are celebrating today. Our next speaker has a deep connection to the state of Israel and in particular Jerusalem. Dr. Nili Falek, Chairman Emeritus of FIDF, as well as one of the founders of FIDF's Greater Miami chapter. Through her unparalleled dedication to philanthropy and her commitment to supporting the soldiers of the IDF, Dr. Falek has single-handedly lifted the spirits of tens of thousands of young IDF soldiers and their families by caring for their well-being and needs through a multitude of FIDF's vital programs. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Nili Falek.
Shalom and Yom Yerushalayim Sameach. As we begin celebrating Yom Yerushalayim, please join me in reciting, "This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice in it." It was King David who built Jerusalem over 3,000 years ago and named it the national and spiritual capital of Israel's kingdom and the Jewish people. And indeed, it remained that way from then till today. In our prayers, even after the exile, and being in exile for 2,000 years, we prayed for Jerusalem, We celebrated Jerusalem in our holidays, in our ceremonies, religious, happy. It was always songs and praise and yearning for our beloved city, Jerusalem. I was born and raised in Israel, and I don't remember during growing up, even till high school, ever being able to touch the Kotel, to reach the Kotel, to see the Kotel, except in pictures. I remember when it was our yearly high school trip to Jerusalem, all we saw was barbed wires, armed soldiers separating the Jerusalem old city and the modern one, because since 1948, Israel has lost to Jordan the sovereignty of the old city. And it wasn't until 1967 that we could reach there thanks to the paratroopers who fought like lions and reached and touched the wall and cried at the wall, and all of Israel and Jews all over the world cried with them from excitement, from emotions of being able to again hold the Kotel, the Jerusalem of old, in our lives and in our everyday physical existence. I don't know of any other city that has so many endearing names as Jerusalem. The city of gold, the city of David, the perfect city, and Zion, from where the name Zionism and Zionist is actually derived from. And I have to share with you a very emotional and elating feeling that I was privileged to have together with my family and many other families when my three sons at different times, my three grandsons, as lone soldiers, volunteers, served in the paratroopers in the IDF, and they were sworn in at the Kotel together with the entire paratroopers brigade. And they received in the right hand a gun, in the left the Bible, swearing their allegiance to the IDF in the State of Israel. I can't tell you how emotional it was. And really tears that were with mixed feelings. Yes, pride, but yes, praying and worrying about their safety and praying for the coming back home safe and healthy. And we are so blessed today in having so many occasions that we can go to Israel and celebrate in our every way that we wish to. And even 2 years ago, the inauguration of the US Embassy in Jerusalem, in our capital, was a wonderful, and I'm grateful, together with so many, to the President Donald Trump and the administration for establishing the United States Embassy in our capital, Jerusalem. We also celebrate, my family and I, many, many years of Yom Yerushalayim in Israel, in Yerushalayim. And this is an indescribable celebration, marching in procession to the Kotel, young and old, flags and songs and music, and reaching the Kotel and dancing there with the soldiers in many circles, just like we did and do many Friday nights at the Kotel with all its visitors and the soldiers. And indeed, it's a privilege. We cannot take it for granted. I know what it was without the old city, our heritage, and the Kotel. We really are privileged and blessed. So I hope that next year we will be able to go again to Yerushalayim on Yom Yerushalayim and other occasions and celebrate together. לשנה הבאה בירושלים. חג שמח.
Thank you, Neely, for your inspiring words. It is indeed a privilege. In 2017, Ambassador David Friedman was sworn in as U.S. Ambassador to the State of Israel. Since assuming his position, Ambassador Friedman has played a key role in developing and executing Israel-related policies in an effort to advance peace in the Middle East. Last week, the U.S. and Israel marked 2 years since the U.S. Embassy moved to Jerusalem. I'm sure you all remember that moment. We now have a special video message for you from Ambassador David Friedman.
Yom Yerushalayim Sameach. This is the 4th time that I've had the privilege of celebrating Yom Yerushalayim as the United States Ambassador to Israel. My first opportunity occurred shortly after Tammy and I arrived in May of 2017. It was the 50th anniversary of the reunification of Jerusalem. Attending a beautiful ceremony at the Jaffa Gate with Prime Minister Netanyahu and President Rivlin, it was the very first time in 50 years that an American ambassador had attended such an event. We've come a long way together in just these 3 years. As a child, I remember my parents returning from a trip to Israel in the early 1960s and lamenting how they were prohibited from visiting the Kotel, the Western Wall. I remember their tears of joy in June of 1967 when they saw and heard that Jerusalem had been reunified. And I remember their pride in seeing their son have his bar mitzvah at the Kotel just a few years later. Today, we are all Jerusalemites, thanking God that we have lived to see the restoration of this ancient city established by King David some 3,000 years ago as the capital of Israel. As King David wrote in Psalm 122, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Chag Sameach, and may God bless Israel and the United States of America.
Thank you, Ambassador Friedman. Earlier today, Zahava from FIDF's Israel office interviewed generations of paratroopers on Ammunition Hill. My father was also a paratrooper. Zahava was joined by Yaki Chetz, an IDF hero from the battle on Ammunition Hill. Chetz was just 21 years old, a private, when he and his comrades from the Paratroopers Brigade attacked the strategic site at 2:30 a.m. on June 7, 1967, and came under unexpectedly intense Jordanian resistance. When his platoon's commander was hit by Jordanian fire, he swiftly took command and led his men into the dark trench. After a bloody battle, they eventually blew up the main Jordanian bunker and took control of the hill. 37 Israeli soldiers were killed in that battle that ended at 6:50 a.m. the next morning. Chetz received an IDF Medal of Courage for his leadership role in a key battle to reunite Jerusalem. Zahava was also joined by Lieutenant Colonel Elad, the current deputy commander of the Paratroopers Brigade, and Corporal Justin, a lone soldier who recently joined the Paratroopers Brigade from Potomac, Maryland, to share their stories. Take a look.
Thank you for joining us. We're here today on the Ammunition Hill in Jerusalem, the location of one of the most iconic battles in the Six-Day War. Behind us, you can see the wall with the names of all the fallen soldiers, soldiers that fought and fell for the liberation of Jerusalem. I'd like to introduce you to the panel. Decorated IDF veteran Yaki Chetz, who fought here in 1967 and lost many of his comrades. Deputy Commander of the Paratroopers Brigade, Lieutenant Colonel Elad, Shalom, and Corporal Justin, a lone soldier from Maryland. Thank you all for coming here on this special day in Jerusalem. Our first question goes for you, Yaki. The Battle of the Ammunition Hill has affected you profoundly. How much do you consider it to be part of who you are today?
First, I'm alive thanks to my commander platoon in the battle, Yoram Eliashiv, which led us very carefully and very wisely during the battle. He was hurt by a Jordanian bullet, and I took his place, and I continue to go ahead very carefully, and I appreciate him very much. So our firstborn son named Yoram after him.
Was there any life lesson from that? Did you have any life lessons? I've heard many times you were saying life is very short.
Yeah. I was 21 years old. How old are you?
19.
I was 21 years old, and I realized after this battle that life are very short, and therefore it changed my character. From that day on, the only thing that I think that we have to do is to be good one to each other, to help one each other, and never hurt tangibly somebody else. This is the second point. The third point is that I realized I was a private soldier, a simple soldier in this battle. I was a private, and I realized that in the Middle East, you must be strong. Otherwise, you don't exist. And therefore, after the battle, I became an officer, and I led my soldiers in other wars carefully.
Thank you so much.
And the most important thing that I learned is that in wars, there are not winners. In wars, there are only losers. Some lose a lot, and some lose less. Winners, you have only in peace. You have to remember it.
So to be kind. Commander Elad, after hearing Yaki's, in your opinion, what are the values that were passed on by Yaki's generation from 1967 and still guiding you today?
The 67 combat soldiers teach us the meaning of combat, how they never left behind the injured soldiers at the field. But above all, they teach us the uncompromising commitment to do everything for our homeland. This is the type of mindset we are trying to install to our soldiers today.
Going back to you, Yaki, what is your message to the paratroopers seated next to you, present and future generations of fighters?
Oh. First, the younger soldiers today, they are better than we were, no doubt. I saw it with my kids when they were in the army, and I see it all the time with the meeting with soldiers here on the ammunition hills. I see that they are more motivated and more professional than we were. Now, messages as a soldier. In a battle, even if you get intelligence, everything can be unexpected. So the most important thing is to use your head to think during the battle, even there are bombs and everything, chaos, okay? And this, if you use your head, this gives you advantage over your enemies, always, big advantage. Okay, then the next thing is that you must be very professional, better than us. And you can get it only with hard training. Our strength of spirit is the most important thing in a battle. So you have to develop it with your unit, with your squad, with your platoon, with your company. This is a very important thing, strength of spirit.
So be strong, keep on training, maintain the values of the IDF. Justin, Corporal Justin, it is such a great pleasure to have you with us today. When you hear about the legacy of the Paratroopers Brigade coming from Yaki's generation that fought here during the 6 Days War, how does it make you feel sitting next to
It's truly incredible. When I hear about the legacy that you and your soldiers left behind, it makes you feel honored and privileged to be part of Tzadchanim. These soldiers were taken from as reservists, miluimnikim, and were taken from their daily lives, their families, and their children to serve Israel when she needed them the most. And you guys fought courageously and selflessly, and while you were outgunned and outnumbered by the Jordanians, right? Truly very influential to all of us as soldiers. As a soldier in basic training, we go through a week called Shavua Chinuch, Education Week. And during this week, we as soldiers learn the what, how, and why. How has Israel come to this point historically today? How has Israel become such a strong country, as you stated, in the Middle East today and throughout the whole world? And in my opinion, the most important one is the why. We need to acknowledge that the battle took place many years ago, and although our enemies may have changed over time, our motivation to defend and prosper the state of Israel hasn't, and that's due to your legacy, and that is our why as soldiers as we continue to adore, just like you said now.
You're such an inspiration, Justin. So tell us, what was it like for you standing here on the ammunition hill and receiving your red beret? What was it like? And hold on. I've heard that your mom came all the way from Maryland to be part of this experience. Please tell us, what was it like? Truly
a dream that I've been dreaming for the last 2 years and still doesn't seem real. After 55 kilometers, a very long night, the Yerido Naliyot, I'm sure you guys had a lot longer, Masot, marches. But towards the end of our Masa, we were all exhausted, but as we were entering the city into Yerushalayim, all the civilians that were around us were honking their horns, cheering us on, bringing us drinks along the way to finish our Masa Kumta here at the Ammunition Hill. And it was truly, makes you remember that the army and defending Israel is something so much more than oneself. And we saw that while coming in, seeing all of Am Yisrael there for us, cheering us on. And at the end was my mom, who I haven't seen in 6 months, which was incredible and the most amazing memory that we'll have for the rest of my life. And getting the Kumta here was truly memorable, knowing that what happened here and the way you guys fought for us to continue that throughout the years.
Was your mom emotional seeing you here?
Of course. I have a headache from the video of her screaming so much when she saw me at the end.
I'm sure she was tearing up, and maybe she's tearing up right now when she sees you. Commander, on a different note, what influenced your decision to continue your service as an officer, educating the future generation, like Justin, of combat soldiers who risk their lives protecting and defending the state of Israel?
You must understand the change throughout the generation. There was the generation of 48 to establish the nation, and then the generation of 67 who fought here with fierce tenacity. And now we continue this intergenerational chain today. And our mission is to make sure that the next generation will also have this beautiful country and powerful country, these wonderful soldiers that fought here did this so we can now be able to sit here in a beautiful country, and now it's our turn.
Thank you. Thank you, Commander. Yaki, going back to you, you worked as an engineer in Rafael Advanced Defense System. Can you tell us about your own technological development, which is a result of a battle that you took part here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. During the battle, I realized that the most important weapon after you use your head, okay, this is stronger, is a hand grenade, okay? But the hand grenade, in such a fighting in trench and bunkers, it has some limitations. It can't pass two corners and more in at once, and the range is limited by the force of the soldier that's throwing, so it's a limitation. So I thought that we have to develop a guided homing hand grenade. This was my thought, and we did it. In Rafael, we did it with an excellent team, very good team, very motivated, and so we developed it, and now it exists. The Firefly, it already exists.
And it's already in the battlefield. It's already been used by the soldiers.
Yeah, it will enter the army in a short time.
Unbelievable how you bring a vision into reality. Unbelievable. A hero of war. So thank you, everyone. But before we complete our panel, we have a few questions that we received in advance from FIDF supporters. And the first question goes to you, Justin. We have a question from Michael, who is from Miami, and he's asking, what drove you to leave your family and friends, come all the way to Israel, and join the IDF as a lone soldier?
You always grow up in your life hearing that you should always do something meaningful in your life, one time. And I can say that this has been the most meaningful experience of my life, that you're finally doing something more than just yourself, and to be a part of the history of warriors for this country is the biggest honor of them all, and I'll never forget my experiences in the Army so far, and every experience that I've had to say that I've truly protected or defended or been a part of something is such an honor to take away. And seriously, the life experience you receive from the Army is something that I would suggest everyone should take the path of, and it's very amazing that before you even join the Army, you have so many people reaching out their hands to help you. Just this past week, I had a problem getting off of base, and within 20 minutes, I had over 5 people telling me they'll come pick me up all the way from the south. And that really makes you feel part of society, part of something bigger than yourself here in Israel.
So the FIDF is adopting the paratroopers brigade. How do you feel that on the everyday life, the connection with the FIDF?
The feeling that you have the FIDF behind you supporting all the paratroopers brigade gives us the power to keep with our complicated mission, knowing that we have this back and do it the best way we can do. Their help to the lone soldiers, bring them the feel that they are not alone, and give us better soldiers.
So this is great seeing all of you here. And Yaki, is it possible that we all gonna go outside and you will lead us to the battle place and you will take us through the trenches?
With pleasure. I mean, it will be more difficult in English than in fighting, but we will do it.
So let's go.
אתה זוכר את התעלות האלה? ממש את המקום הזה?
אני פה כל שבועיים שלושה. We fought to save the soldiers, 120 soldiers in Scope Mountain, which were surrounded by Jordanians. We entered the fighting. My difficult moment was when my commander, platoon commander Yoram Eliashiv, were hurt. Because all the time I felt as I go after a shield wall.
Protect you.
Wall. Yeah, protect us. He went first.
Because in the tunnel only one people can be at the head.
I decided to lead, and I remember when I started to move, I saw until the next zig, there were only 5 meters, so I saw I have 5 meters to leave. This was my feeling. And in this battle, our battalion lost 36 soldiers, and later in the Yom Kippur war, we lost 23 soldiers, and then in reserve and so on, we lost other soldiers.
In 1967, everything here was empty. There were just hills. And now, or since 1967, you can see how Jerusalem expanded, and you can see all the neighborhood that is surrounding Jerusalem and the capital of the State of Israel and the Jewish world. So thank you so much for being with us. Yaki, Commander, Justin, thank you all for being today with us on this special day, on Jerusalem Day.
Thank you, you are welcome.
Yaki, you are a hero for us, and you are the example for the next generation of our soldiers. Thank you very much.
That was truly something special to see veteran and active duty paratroopers together on the historic Ammunition Hill. We would like to take you to Jerusalem with a song, Jerusalem of Gold, Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, led by Romi Uzan, a rising star in Israel, who recently participated in FIDF's From Holocaust to Independence mission.
ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני כינור. ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, הלא לכל שירייך אני your praises and sing hallel to you with greedy
That was beautiful and pierces the heart every single time. I would like to now welcome, once again, former commander of the Paratroopers Brigade and current FIDF National Director and CEO, Major General Meir Cliffy Amir.
Good evening. In 1967, during the Six-Day War, the old city of Jerusalem was liberated from the Jordanian Legion and reunited with the western part of the city. Jerusalem, which has always been the heart, the soul, and the legacy of our nation, was restored after 2,000 years as the eternal capital of the Jewish homeland. The valiant warriors who sacrificed their lives with tremendous courage, spirit, and supreme determination fought face to face under heavy fire in the canals of Ammunition Hill and in the narrow alleys of the old city. On June 7, I can say at 10 a.m., they heard the voice of their brigade commander, Colonel Mordechai, or as all of us know, Mota Gur, Zichrono Livracha. He was, after that, between 74 to 78, the chief of staff of the Israel Defense Force, and between 84 to 86, he was the Minister of Health in the Israeli government. When they heard his voice from the radio transmission announcing excitedly, Har Habayit Beyadenu, Har Habayit Beyadenu, the Temple Mount is our hand, the Temple Mount is in our hand. It was an amazing announcement. Our return to the Temple Mount excited and trailed the hearts of our people and touched the very deep roots of our existence as a nation. I can say that even to this day, every time I heard Mota Gur's announcement, it still brings out so much emotion. Those warriors achieved a triumph that will be remembered for generations. They witnessed not only the glory of victory, but also its heavy toll. As you can see, soldiers like Corporal Justin from Maryland, Neely's grandsons, Dov, Samuel, and Miro, our Chairman Emeritus Arthur Stark's sons, Adam and Jordan, all of them and many others are following the legacy of the Six-Day War heroes generation after generation. On a personal note, I served in the Paratrooper Brigade for 15 years. My son Roy served after me in the same battalion that I started my service. In 1992, 25 years after the Six-Day War, I had the privilege and the honor to command this Paratrooper Brigade, the 55th Brigade. It's a reserve brigade. It was a dream come true. Serving with part of those legends like Yaki that you saw in the panel. As their commander was for me and for many others the best military school and lifetime experience I could ever have. I was amazed time after time by their dedication, commitment, determination, and passion for our beloved country. Dear friends, I will conclude by saying Jerusalem has been the capital of our nation for 3,000 years and the capital of our independence homeland for the last 72 years. And Jerusalem will stay the capital of the Jewish people forever, forever. I want to thank you all for taking part in this event, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next events. Yom Yerushalayim Sameach, Happy Jerusalem Day.
And thank you very much, Major General Cliffy B'Shana Haba B'Yerushalayim. Thank you, everyone, all of our FIDF supporters, for joining us. I hope you'll join me in continuing to embrace and support our soldiers during this difficult time as they look out for both the State of Israel on the front lines and on the home front. To show your support, please go to fidf.org/give and have a great night. Laila Tov.